subreddit, which is r/paranormal encounters. So in theory these are things that people have experienced, talking about it. Obviously there's a chance that these aren't real, so take that with a grain of salt, even though the subreddit wants it to be the case. So let's give it a go. So we're going to start off with what I would say is what looks like a pretty strong one. And it's called Weird Night. So, before we get into this, I, 21-year-old female, sleep in the same room as my two younger sisters, 11 and 6, but in different beds. I am also the type of person who likes to watch horror movies. I can watch it alone at night and still sleep well. So for this to shake me has to be something else. This particular night, I went to bed late as I was reading funny tweets and quotes on TikTok. I woke up around 1:23 AM to an intense feeling of fear, like I was drifting away to some place. I don't remember the dream that warranted that feeling, but it woke me up, and I couldn't go back to sleep even though I was so sleepy. As I drifted, I kept having this intense feeling that I was going to have a nightmare. It felt like I was being called over into this deep, unsettling sleep that I feared I wouldn't be able to come back from. It felt like I was being pulled from the centre of my chest. It was so heavy and scary that I would shoot my eyes open as fast as I could. It felt so on edge, like I was being watched. As I was struggling with that, I heard my 6-year-old sister whining and making sounds in her sleep as though she was having a nightmare. Being a Christian, I mustered enough energy to say a prayer at that moment. And almost immediately, maybe by coincidence, she stopped making the sounds. I, on the other hand, still couldn't sleep as I kept having this feeling. I tried singing a little worship song to change the atmosphere, but I was too weak to keep it up. Then a thought came to me to play a recording of a sermon by an apostle I had on my phone via my earpiece to help me sleep, as the fear was keeping me awake. I was able to sleep without the nightmare. I just woke up at intervals to switch the audio to a different one. At some point in the night, I opened my eyes to see that the 6-year-old had come into the room, and she began to tell me that she went to Mum to give her food, and she's eaten, so that's where she's coming from. I heard the kitchen door closing and believed her. She has a bit of a habit of giving out information even before she's asked, and if she doesn't eat before bed, there is a tendency for her to wake our mum for food. Usually tea, but not that late. I was expecting our mum to come in to tuck her back in, as that is what she does, but she never came, which is unlike her. I slept off for the last time that night and woke up around 5 AM to hear her squirming again. This time, I got up after checking the time and went to adjust her sleeping position, as I thought it would help. That morning, after having her breakfast before school, she threw everything up. I had a really strong urge to ask her about the late night snack she had, but waited until she got back from school. Came to never really went to wake Mum up for food that night, even telling me Mum asked her to stop doing that. What the hell? I definitely knew it wasn't a dream. Interesting. Could have been better worded at the end there. But I think I get it. Creepy. What was going on that night? Let's move on to a shorter one. This is called I Saw Something and I Don't Know What It Was. I've seen my fair share of spirits in different forms of visibility. The cliche shadow out of your eye kind, ones that I see when I'm riding in a car and I look out the window and they seem real solid people, but then I look back and they are gone. Once I saw one that looked so real that I can tell you that she had light blonde hair and a floral 80s style dress down to halfway between her knee and ankle. And once I saw a shadow man with a hat on, with his back facing me, probably about 6 feet, maybe taller. But today I was in the kitchen at my mum's and she had already put the Christmas tree up because she finds the lights calming, and I swear that I either saw something sit up or rise up from beneath the carpet out of the corner of my eye, of course. But here's the thing that makes it different from the other ones I mentioned above. It was this grey, dark mist. It wasn't solid. I've never seen or heard of a spirit appearing as grey mist, so I've no clue what it was. If anyone has any explanation for this weird phenomenon, then feel free to explain in the comments, even if it's not a paranormal explanation. Interesting. There's people telling him to check his carbon monoxide detector. Interesting. This one's kind of cool. Saw a ghost of a little girl in my sister's bedroom. I was never a ghost believer until this day. Me and my wife would come home from work to pick up a 1-year-old at the time. We packed up the car with a lot of things that we had brought to my mum's house. My mum and sister were babysitting. I forgot one more thing as I was about to get into the car. I forgot my kid's blanket. I went to my sister's room and the lights were off. It was around 6 o'clock, so the sun was already going down. The first thing I see is a black figure with long hair. She was pretty short, about 4 feet high. As soon as I walk closer, I see the figure duck down behind the bed. I turn on the light and nothing is there. I walk around the bed and there was nothing. I start to get anxious, grab the blanket and got the hell out of there. Till this day, I don't go into that room unless somebody comes along with me. 4 feet high, that's not a little girl. That's an adult. Creepy. Okay. Here's another one. This post has 2 stories in it. And the post is called My Paranormal Experiences. Story 1. To keep it short, it was around 2007, 2008, Sunday, around 10, 11 in the morning. 3 of us students package fell to the floor all by itself. We surely didn't touch it. The table was a metre from us and the TV an additional metre from the coffee table, which is about 3 or 4 feet, I'm pretty sure. The three of us, sitting next to each other, pale as flour, just looked at each other. They ran away from the apartment after a minute, and I stayed for the next 6 hours until my roommate came from home. Given the situation, I called the owner of the apartment and asked him if he had any complaints from former tenants. Turned out that we were the first to rent the apartment. We entered the apartment in April. His mother was seriously ill and died in that room at the beginning of January the same year, just a couple of months before the event. Creepy. Story number 2. When taking our son to sleep, when he was 2-3 years old, a story was always read before going to sleep. Suddenly, every evening, the chandelier would sway gently while reading, both to me and to my wife. One evening, my wife calls me into the room. They are in bed. The little one is sitting next to her, looking at the chandelier and saying, "Grandpa, Grandpa." I pulled out a picture of my grandfather somewhere, and the little one points to it and repeats, "Grandpa." The little one was born a good 10 to 15 years after my grandfather died, in that same house, to this day. And after the renovation, all the doors and windows are closed. Here and there, I find a cold wind in the passage, like when someone passes by you. It's Grandpa, so I don't worry. Every now and then, just for fun, when I get the feeling that we're not alone, I just say, "Hello, Grandpa," and continue with my thing. I did a little research after that. Some scientists claim that when children are young, they are on a higher level in dimension, and that they sense what adults can't. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know what actual scientists are saying that. What they mean to say is paranormal investigators. Probably. I don't know a single scientist that would say that children have an ability to see a higher dimension. Also, the local story says that not far from me, a bride died not that long after her wedding in a car crash. For a good 10 to 15 years, people regularly claimed that they saw the silhouette of a woman in a wedding dress during night driving. At the same curve, she passed away. I'm not religious, but I believe there are various spirits and paranormal activities. Maybe we are limited to these dimensions, but in others that sometimes merge with ours. Only God knows what is lurking around. Swear to God, it's like that door opens behind me or something. Creepy. That seemed like that actually might have been 3 stories. I didn't realise that last one was actually a story in its own right. So I guess technically 3. This is a longer one. I'm going to get another piece and this will be our last story. We've had this tub of gum for a while. It's finally starting to run out. This post is called "I Saw a Demon." So, me and my husband decided to go to a lookout spot that is known for the paranormal. It's called Dover Lights. It's known for coloured orbs that will fly around in the night sky with no particular pattern. As soon as my husband turned off the truck, I was struck by fear. I began to cry and told him I wanted to go. He asked me why, but just kept telling him I didn't know why, but I just didn't want to be here. So, we started to drive back to town, down the winding dirt road, and about halfway down the mountain, the lightning struck. It was so close I jumped to the floor of the truck, and my husband threw on the brakes. I said, "What the hell?" He said that lightning struck nearby the truck. I climbed back up onto my seat and began moving again. We began moving again. I spotted something glowing red about 15 feet into the woods. I couldn't pull my eyes away. It was looking right at us. It was completely black except for its red eyes. It had something similar to a pointing bat-like ears and wings that were tucked behind on its back, but you could see them over its shoulder. These pointy wings. It was about 3.5 feet tall and was in mid-stride when we spotted it. It was the feeling that it brought with it that was so scary that I felt heavy. Thick darkness like the dark. The whole world was dark black. That's the only way to explain it. Like nothing I've ever felt before or after. I felt a little poking around my head, and now realised it was trying to read my thoughts, but couldn't, and was slightly annoyed by that. I don't know how I know that, I just do. My eyes and its eyes were still locked. It was only a few seconds, but it seemed like time wasn't moving. As we continued to drive past, neither one of us, me or my husband, said anything for a few seconds. Quietly, without looking at my husband, I whispered, "Did you see that?" He looked at me and said, "You saw it too?" I said yes. And then he looked at me and said, "What the fuck was that?" We were driving fast now, trying to get out of the woods and away from the mountain. I said it was a demon, I think, and my husband doesn't much believe in things like that, but he said what? That he never wanted to think or talk about it again. It scared him, I could tell, and he didn't get scared. He didn't know what it was. His words were, it was nothing good, and not from this world. We have talked about it every now and then. We even thought about it later. It was a few seconds after that lightning struck that we had seen it. It somehow had to be connected. It was too weird for the lightning, and then a second later that thing is right there mid-stride in the woods. I'm firm it was a demon, because the feelings that surrounded it were dark and turned everything dark around it. I just want to know what demon it would be. I've looked for years now online and never found anything that looked like it. I'm also thinking that those pointed ears were black horns, maybe not ears. It didn't have any features on its face, just these glowing red eyes. Pointy wings folded behind the back, and all black. I know it had 2 legs. It was walking on them, and was about 3.5 feet tall, but terrifying. It was intelligent, it saw us, and it could think just like we were. I don't know how I know, but I do. Maybe it told me in a way that it just popped into my mind. It was intelligent, but was actually smarter than we are. I know all of this as we locked eyes with the creature. So anyway, could anyone please tell me if they know anything more about this creature? The blazed over lights, I question how much stuff on this Reddit is actually true. The thing is, like, usually if they're not, I get the impression that they're usually written more kind of like stories, but that I had to take a little bit of liberty with. So, yeah, pretty interesting. Anyway, that's going to bring us to the end of this spooky video. If you want more, drop a like, let me know in the comments, and check out one of these videos. I'm sure you'll enjoy them, and I'll see you in the next one.